Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing another video that I've been planning on doing for a while, but due to just kind of delays and poor, I'm basically not very good at creating videos. I'm awful at editing them, as in I just don't do it. As you'll probably find, all my videos are just one long clip. Occasionally I pause it, but yeah. So it's a bit kind of like a delayed in process in this coming out, but I'm finally getting around to doing it. Essentially using this authenticate function. The authenticate function is it sends you a transaction, and then you have to like sign it on the client. So I'm just going to show an example of this on like a little project that I'm working on. So obviously you pair your wallet. So pair wallet. Right, so just realised that you need to, in this particular project I'm working on, you need to have something in the URL. So pair wallet, up will pop the request to pair it. I'm going to approve that. Okay, that's been done. This is like a nice little toggle functionality, but essentially you click authenticate, up will pop the app. So this is obviously you need to have the app. Needs to be, so you can check that this verified, which is when the request is being sent from the same domain. So look, we've got the same thing. We'll go over all of this stuff. I'm going to approve that. And then if we go over to the console, the result of that is a message being sent from the server. So this is actually and then we get authentication success. This is a message that is sent from the server to the client and then logged over on the client once it's been received. But yeah, so basically this project involves communication from a back end to a front end, and then back to the back end. So this is the current app that we'll be building on. So obviously this is like a project that I'm helping in. Go in, check them out. Coming soon, actually. Yeah, really good little project. And essentially we're just going to be using a React app, which I'm going to have it's just my last video, the Hashconnect per wallet repository, literally just a simple React app with this pairing functionality. And so we're going to also add an authenticate functionality, and we're also going to add the ability to create a server and then communicate from client side to server side by sending all these information requests. So first of all, I'm just going to head over to my app. No, that's not it. What am I doing? This one. Okay, yeah. So got the app over here. Now the first thing that I'm going to do, ignore this SC upload test. That's not relevant to this video. I think that's from a previous one that I've done. So this is our front end file. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another directory called backend Hashconnect. And then I'm going to create first of all, let's CD into that. So if I open up a new terminal, and then at the moment I'm in this directory, so I just want to I'm going to CD into this backend Hashconnect one. CD into that, and then I'm going to say npm init. So I want to initialize a node repository. Just enter all of these. Spam. Now what do we want to do? So we want to install some of the repositories. So we want to say npm I, and what do we want? We want to install Express, because that's what we're going to be using to create the server. We also want to be installing cores, and we also want to be installing body -parser. These will all help when communicating, sending requests to and from. They all come in handy. I think that's probably all we need. We'll also actually need the Hedera Hashgraph SDK. So I'll also install that npm I, and then was it at hashgraph/SDK, or is it Hedera/SDK? I always get this wrong. I've got this wrong in videos already as well. Okay, I think that's, yeah, so it's looking like it's doing all right. But right, so while that's going along, Let's just close that, create a bit more space. Okay, so that's all downloading, taking a while. Forgot that it takes this long. And what else? In the front end, we've already got, so if we head over into our package.json file, package maybe dash lock. Well, we can see. Oh yeah, it says here. Yeah, okay. So we've got the Hashconnect npm dependency already downloaded. Obviously, these here just come with doing npx React app. Wonder what they use for. Damn. Okay. Do you know what? I'm just going to pause it until this hash graph SDK downloads because it's taking ages, taking much longer than usual. Right. Okay, that's been done. So we're also just gonna. I'm just gonna head over back here. So we're still in the same directory. Just gonna clear that. Apologies if you can hear my computer fan as well. Computer's very loud at the moment. I'm currently on my quite old MacBook, which isn't as good as my little Windows PC, but that's over at my uni spot, so things ain't running as smoothly as usual. Nonetheless, we're gonna create a file called server.js, and this is where our server is going to be. So this is, we're going to say const, we're going to say require, we're going to say express equals require, and then we're going to say express, and then we're also going to want to, maybe it's best to, no, it'll be right. We're also going to say const cause equals require cause, and we're going to say const body parser equals require body dash parser. Then we're just going to want to say const app equals express, and then we're going to say, so we're just going to set up, well, we're now going to say app.use cause. Going to say this is, so cause stands for cross origin reference. It's basically like the boxes that need to be ticked in order for messages to be sent from server to server. So this just kind of helps make the whole process easier. I think that's the correct way to do it. And then also app.use, and then I'm going to be saying body parser. I think that's also, no, okay. Let me just I'll just check up on my code to make sure that's right. This is all off the top of my head. But we're also going to want to say, so we'll just create something. We'll create a get request, like an endpoint, just on the default thing, and that will obviously take a request and a response. And so that's going to do that, and then we're just going to say res.send server live, and we want to hit a app.listen, and we can just say, so this is running on port 3000, so we'll say port listen on 3443, and we can also add like a callback function into this, and we can just say something like, this is just something that will also run. We'll just say console.log running on port, and actually what we'll do is we'll create a variable up here. We can say const port equals 844. Right, okay, let's save this and we'll run it. Actually, there's one other thing that I'm going to do, and that's I'm going to install NodeMon. Just this is good because actually we want to install this as a developer dependency. So I'm just going to say i-d and then NodeMon. Now NodeMon, essentially, you may have heard of it, but it just means when you've actually got a node server running, then you don't have to constantly restart it every time you make a change. what we're going to want to do is we're going to head over to the package.json file. And we want to add a script here. So we're going to say dev, and then that's going to call nodemon server.js. And so when we hit npm run dev over here, nodemon server will pop up, running on port 8443. So let's just head over to localhost 8443. Let's see what's going on. Hopefully if we set everything up correctly, then should be all good. Is it? Yeah, 8443. No, it doesn't seem like, must have done an error somewhere though. So let's message right, let me just do a little bit of debugging. Right, so I think what I did was actually a little mistake over here. So to be honest, I probably should have noticed it from above, but as you can see, body parser itself is not a function. It's not like a function like these express and cause are, but it does have a method, the JSON method, and this is what it basically just converts everything into JSON, all of the stuff that gets sent. So hopefully that little fix, as you saw when I just pressed save, it rerun it. Server live. Okay, cool. That was the issue. So yeah, little details like that, obviously. Now what we can do, is okay, yeah. Now what we can do is actually start kind of the general logic behind it. So let's have a look at the documentation. Obviously, the best reference, and it's been mapped out. I think again, Pluto probably done this, or if other people done it as well, shout out to them. So it kind of they map out here what the flow is. So we generate the payload and signature. Now, I'm no expert on authentication tokens, so this is not about how to make it secure. This is literally just about how to do it. How you'd make it secure and using tokens and that. Like that's something I'd love to learn more about. So I will learn more about it, but I'm not going to be given a totally secure version. Don't get it twisted. So generate a payload and signature on the server. So this will happen obviously server side. Contain a single use code that you can validate later. This will be back on the server, I believe. So then we've got to send the payload. Obviously, so yeah, this payload will get signed by this payload will get signed using their own signing data service that you don't get given this actually. Well, you do. You can find this relevant kind of signing service. I'll put a link in the description. I'll just be showing my own functions which do the same thing, so you can just copy those. But Hashconnect do have their own thing. Now what we've got, so it sends that payload and the signature to the front end. So now the back end has signed it, sent it over to the front end. User wallet, he then signs it, receives a new payload along with the user's signature. There we go. So that's what the wallet's for. And then that payload goes back to the back end, and that is where the authentication happens. So what I did actually was it goes back to the back end, they check that it's both the same, and then it console logs, it sends a message. It will either send the message authentication success, or equally if it fails, then obviously authentication failed. Now this is what they do. Obviously, because I'm covering this, I'm just going to focus on the code. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to want, obviously, we need to generate a payload on the server and send that over to the front end. So we're going to want to create a route where this can occur. So I'm just going to go over into our server file, and I'm going to say app.get, and it's just going to be like a get page. We'll just call it send auth, and this is going to be sending the token as a get request. Now, like I said, in terms of security features for this, I don't think this is necessarily too bad, although we'll be sending bytes. Now that's also going to be obviously have the same callback function. There is also, I think there's a third parameter which is next. I think, and I think next is like some special function that happens after, or something like that. I haven't really used it too much myself, but it's worth knowing. Also, one thing to point out, in the JavaScript, in this React code, I'll be using ES6 syntax, which is like the import them from. However, for this node server, I'm going to be using ES5. Now, this can be changed pretty easily just by adding a type and then module, but I'm just going to be doing ES5. If you add type module, then you can use like the other syntax. So yeah, we'll be doing a little bit of both, but it's good to know both. So what have we got? So we've got this send all function. So yeah, this is essentially, I want it to send something to the front end, and that's what the client can then just get from this get request page. So we're going to create just a new directory in here in the back end. Yeah, we'll create a new one in the back end. We'll just call that, what should we call it? It's helpers, and then this is going to be the authenticate.js. So I create just like a send auth function. It's probably going to be asynchronous. And what else are we going to want to do? So yeah, this is going to be sending the auth now. We don't actually need anything Hashconnect related over here, but we do need to have Hashgraph related stuff because we're going to be signing it. So we want to be, firstly, I'm just going to use some private keys. So I'm just going to paste them in and kind of like hide them. Right, so what we've got, yeah, so I've just got that over here, my client ID and client key. We're also going to be wanting to install, take the account ID and also the private key, and that's going to be coming from at Hashgraph SDK. So we're going to be getting those, obviously, to convert these strings into the correct format. There's another thing that I want to install, and that's node fetch. So again, I'm just going to be saying node-fetch. Now I'm going to be using the fetch API in this node code, just because that's what I'm most familiar with. But obviously, fetch, it can't actually be used in Node, so I'm just using this package called node fetch, which simulates the same thing. I don't know how they do it. Perhaps using like Axios. That's another thing that you can use for getting post requests in JavaScript, but it's not actually something that I've ever fiddled around with. So we're gonna have this send auth function, and essentially, like what they said over here, is that you need to generate a payload. So the payload is essentially this line here. So I'm just going to kind of copy that. Now, structure it a bit. Okay, so essentially, what has it got? So it's got the URL and it's got the data, which has a token on the inside. Now, I think basically what you do is you'd send this over, and then they send something back, and you do some token manipulation, convert it, and then change it back and see if it all matches up using the same kind of crypto technique. That's probably how you'd verify it. None of that I do know. What I do know is that the URL is not test.com. So the URL is just going to be coming from just localhost 3000. So that's going to be the URL. I think we just need to put localhost 3000 though, because then we're going to be on the other side. We're going to be getting it from kind of the current site. So that's going to be the payload. Now we've got to go on to the signing function. Now they don't give it all out here, so you can do a bit more digging. Like I said, I'll also send the link to where I found it, but I'm just going to paste in my own signing function. Right, so yeah, so we need to sign this transaction. Now, like I said earlier, I've just got just got them pasted in the strings. So quickly, I'm just going to actually say my client ID equals account ID dot from string, and then it's going to be obviously passing in the original client ID, and then what's the other one called? Private key, client key. That's going to be equal to private key dot from string and client key. So yeah, that's obviously now we've like converted it into the hash graph format. This is how we can then use it. Now, essentially what we need to do is we need to convert this payload into bytes form. So yeah, I did. So we need to convert it into bytes form. Now we need to make it a buffer. So convert it into a buffer, and then from a buffer we can create a new this is like a native class in JavaScript, a new uint8 array, and that's like the byte form now. Then the client can sign it. So this sign is a method of this new client. This new client kind of object. And then we're just returning it. So I'm returning it as, this is quite important what we call it. So returning it as server signature is the signature, returning an object. And then the server signing account is the client ID. Interesting though. So actually this may need to be a string. This may need to be a string. Let me just double check. So obviously, because now this is an object, I should probably whatever. It's not an important account. That may be what I want to be passing in, but let's just confirm. Right, yeah. So this does want to be the string, but actually, because I'm not even using the client, I don't need it in its object form. I'm just going to delete that line. So the string reference is here, whereas for the private key, where we're doing that sign function, we're calling that sign method. And yeah, we do need to obviously have it like that. So okay, we're then returning this. So this is good. We're then returning this. So over on our server, we can actually import this function. So we can say const send auth, and that's going to be required from /helpers/authenticate. That's where our send auth function is coming from. So now we've just got a auth object, which we're going to say is equal to, now is any of this asynchronous? No, all of it's actually not asynchronous. None of it's asynchronous. So you can just like create that. Doesn't need to be asynchronous at all. We can say send auth, no parameters. Oh yeah, no parameters. And then we're going to say res.send, and we're going to be saying auth object. So we're basically going to send this auth object. Why is that red line coming up? Colon expected. Yeah. Right, so this should be in a position now that we can actually start making some coding, then add some scripts over into the front end in order to, one, receive that payload, receive it, and then sign it on the front end using Hashconnect. I mean, I am just going to make a couple changes to my server to keep it in line with the code which I've already got, which I'm modeling off, just to make sure that it's as sleek as possible. But essentially, yeah, so I just called it, in the code that I'm modeling off, I just called it signing data. And then what I did in here was I did like the shorthand for creating an object. And so I passed it in and I destructured it kind of. But essentially, all this is doing is it's like just sending an object, which is called signing data. And like it's just sending the signing data, so that's kind of shorthand for it. So yeah, just to keep it in line with what I'm basing this code on. So let's head over now to our front end, and in our src file, and in this Hashconnect folder that we've got. I'm just going to do it in the same file as this. Just to make it a bit shorter, but so yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to create our own kind of like receiving and signing response. So this will just say const, this is definitely going to be asynchronous, this one. So we're going to be exporting it first of all. Export const authenticate wallet, authenticate user. That doesn't matter. This is definitely asynchronous, and It's going to send that. So we're also going to have a payload over here now. It's pretty much checking that both these payloads match. That's what we want to be doing. So we're going to be creating our own payload here, const payload, and it's going to have a URL and it's going to have its data. So the URL we can actually get from the window.location.hostname. That's where we can get the URL from, because obviously this is actually on the client side now, on the web client side now. And then we've got the data and we've got the token. I'm just going to copy and paste this same token. But I think obviously in a real use case, you'd actually want to have a different token, and then you'd want to compare the two tokens. You want to somehow convert this with the thing and see if it passes as the original one. And that's how I think that's how you do it. But to be honest, again, I'm not the crypto expert. So this is our payload. And similarly, this is done on client side. So yeah, okay, we're just passing in through this Authenticate with all of these. So with the topic, with the signing account which comes from, I think that's something from this sign data function. Okay, there we go, the server signing account. So that's what we get from the signing data in it. Yeah, there we go, signing data. So yeah, we get that from the signing data. That's the server signing account. That's the signing data. That's the signature from the other side, and then the payload. So there's 5 arguments that we need to pass in here. Now, obviously, to get this information from the server, we need to make a fetch from this send auth route. So we're going to be. This is why we've got asynchronous. Now, in here, we don't need to install the node fetch because this is running on the web kind of engine, and the web engine by default has the fetch API. So we're going to say const res equals. So this is our response that we're getting. That's going to equal await, and then it's going to equal fetch. Getting it from localhost 8443 /send off. And because it's just like a get request, we don't need to give any information, I don't think. And then we can say, okay, so const data equals await res.json. And then we can say const signing, or we can actually say const signing data, because I know that the signing data is actually what is a part of the data. And I can say const signing data is await that. So I'm basically destructuring and taking it out there straight away. And now I can just say console.log signing data, and we're just to confirm that we're getting it over here pretty much. So this is the authenticate user function. We're not actually sending the payload yet, because obviously we send it with the authenticate function. That's a hashgraph method, Hashconnect method. So let's say, what's that? This is an old one. That's old. In our app.js, we're going to add a new function. So we're going to import that authenticate user. And let's say button on click authenticate. And ideally, we should be getting a response from the server. So let's refresh, and that's going to be console logged according to our function. Right, so first and foremost, to be honest, we should get it without even needing to pair. Because so at the moment, obviously, and we do, but because our so I'll put this back in there. Oh, yeah, there we Nice. Yeah, because we're not actually calling any Hashconnect data. We don't need to be logged in. Right, low cost not supported. Okay, I need to. Right, so I'd forgotten. I never actually started running my npm server back up. Oh no, run dev. I meant npm run dev. So obviously, yeah, you do definitely want your server going up while you want to do stuff. So I think this should work. I think Authenticate now. Okay, so we're getting uncore error, unexpected token is not 500, internal server error. So this is a server error. So this is something that's wrong. Send auth is not a function. Didn't export it. Absolute moron. Okay. Still an error. Failed to fetch. Getting closer. So this is right. Another elementary error. Okay, so obviously we're doing ES5 here. We're doing the require, so we need to actually do export modules.export. So we're going to be saying modules.export, and then we're going to be passing in that send off. So modules is not defined, or is it just modules.export? Module exports. Yeah, okay. This ain't it. Well, to be fair, just part of coding, innit? Just part of coding. So still type error failed to fix. Right, a lot of just really stupid syntax errors. I'm not even looking at my old work. Module equals, that's not a function. You lot are probably watching it, kicking yourselves at my stupidity. Okay. There we go. Feels good. Right, okay, yeah, good. That feels, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, the feeling when it finally get out of all the errors. So yeah, we've got our server signature over here. That's in bytes, and that's the payload, which has then been signed by the private key. And then we've got the server signing account, which is just that string. So this is good. Right. Okay. So what's next? So we've got this. Now it's just about actually. Doing this Hashconnect or Authenticate. So this is what we need to do next. And what does it pass in? So it gets the save data topic, gets this signing account. It will get this is from the signing data. So the server signing account, that's what we've got, the server signing account. And then the server signature, and then the payload. Okay. So the payload's the same. This is our index file. Okay, and then so right, we're going to be calling that, and also the only things that we don't have at the moment actually is this signing account and this save data topic. But if we have a look into our save data, like with this new Hashconnect update, all of it just gets saved into the save data, so you can just pull it from there, to be honest. Local storage console.log. Actually, what it says json.parse. Local storage dot hashconnect data. So what we've got, yeah, just in here we've got our pairing data. So we've got that account. That's the account that was signed with. Encryption key, don't need that, but we do need the pairing, the topic, sorry. So we'll take the topic from there, and then there is, what's the best way to access that? This is pretty much where we can find the wallet as well. Now, yeah, in the use case that I had it in, basically I've got like my own kind of data structure where it shows you the actively chosen account as well. It shows you the account which you're actively on, because there's options to have multiple accounts attached at one point. And there's literally option to be like, okay, yeah, make this one the current one, and then that changes it in my data structure. So, but doing it without that, doing it just kind of really got given, I'm just going to think the best way. Oh, actually, one thing that I do want to point out, which is a bit funny with this server signature. So as you can see, this server signature actually is an object, and then this is like a 64-bit like byte kind of array, except instead of being an array, it's in like object form. So we're going to need to convert this into an array, which I'll show you. But it's interesting because this isn't how it gets sent on the server side, and we can test that now. So obviously, if I go into the server function, now what is it that we're printing? So we're getting that signing data, and if I head over into that Authenticate one, so if I, yeah, let's console.log the signature. I'm pretty sure it's going to print out as an array. So what do we need to do? So this is the console, Authenticate. There we go. Yeah. So it's this uint. It's this special type of, like, it is still an object, I think, but it's like a special type of this particular type. Now, what happens if we print it over here? So if I go the server, because maybe actually it's the change in between here. Signing data dot server signature. I think that should work. Maybe it's actually in this particular chain. I click Authenticate. Server signature is not defined. Right. So yeah, at this point it's still fine, and then obviously it's when we get it passed over to the, what's it called? I don't know why. Maybe it's because it gets converted into JSON, and then when it gets converted back, it just gets passed as objects. But nonetheless, the way that we get around that, because for the signing function, you don't want it to be like an object. What you want to do is, so we've got that over here. Let's go back to this index file. So we've got this signing data now. Okay, right. Let's head over back to the docs. Sorry for the kind of sporadic nature of this. So I'm just going to paste in the. This is going to be back what we send. So that's the server. Actually, let's just call it to server. Okay, so we don't have that. Hashconnect dot authenticate, and so we passing in the save data topic. So let's get the save data. Okay, so we can get that by saying const save hashconnect dot say dot no hashconnect save data equals json dot pass, and it's going to be the window dot local storage dot hashconnect save data. Believe that should be all we need. Let's also just console log that out to confirm. I don't have text auto pretty if I think doesn't work on this. on this stupid laptop. Right, okay, so we've got the save data. Let's just block that out for 2 secs. But then we're also going to need the signing account again. We can get that from the Hashconnect save data. So let's quickly check out our app. Click Authenticate. Where's this error coming from? Do we not change anything? I'm done. Server. Get out of the way. This is going to be a long video, I've just realised. Right, so in that instance, it's just Hashconnect data, not Hashconnect save data. So yeah, let's console log this out, what happens. So, okay, yeah, we get the topic, and then we get the pairing data, so we can, yeah, to be honest, we'll just kind of do a little cheat for it, and I'll just access the 0th index dot account ID 0th index. So it's going to look a bit ugly and not very well thought out, but that's just to demonstrate kind of the main thing. So we've got the Hashconnect data. Now, this can be, so we've got hashconnect.topic within that. So hashconnect data.topic, then the signing account, that's going to be hashconnect data.topic dot pairing data. What have we got? Ugh, get off. Okay, so pairing data. And then the account IDs. And then the 0th thing on that. Again, look, this is not very. Am I playing? Shut up. Yeah. Yeah, this is not very good code at the moment. So signing data, I think ours is what do we call it over here? Server signing account, yeah. And then signing data, we call it server signature, and then we've got that payload. So that's the to server, and then what did that do after this over here? So then we've got that, got the function. Whatever, that's kind of the main thing. Okay, so then we have to, what do we do? Let's have a look back at the docs. So yeah, so we send it over here. Now we've signed it. So I think actually just this in itself from this hash pack should pop up. So let's test it out. Let's test it out that we've got over here. First argument must be, yes, I mentioned it, of course, right. So that's referring actually about this server signing account. No, it's talking about the signature. So what's it saying? Is it saying it must be one of the type string, buffer, array, buffer objects, or array-like objects. Now, technically what we had was an array-like object, but it's not forming, it's not like taking that into consideration. So what we actually want to do is, first of all, we want to create, actually I'm just going to copy it from what I've done over here. So yeah, so we've got the signing data and we're getting the server signature, and we're taking the object values of it, and what this does is it converts it into an array of the values, which is pretty much what we had before. And then from that, we're creating it, we're saying a buffer from that array, because when it's in an array format, we can actually create this buffer from it. And this is what we want to then pass in over here. The server signing account, obviously that's just a string, so that's perfectly fine to have. And the payload, that's as per usual. Again, let's refresh. Authenticate, uncore, simple crypto must be, okay, we haven't actually, right, let's pair the wallet. Nice, okay. So send unverified, sent by localhost. Right, it's because I added the 3,000, I didn't need to add that. I click approve. Well, that's popped up for now, so that's we're kind of getting closer. Over here, then I think we just need to put URL localhost. But yeah, so that's that part, and now we just then need to send something back over there. So what do we send back over there? We're going to be sending send to the user wallet, receive a new payload along with the user's signature of the new payload. Send this payload and user signature back to your backend. So okay, so all right, we just send the response back over. Okay, we're just sending the response back over. So we've got this to server. So basically, we need to. I'm going to set up another endpoint for this to go to, and this is going to be a post one now. And we're going to say /getAuth. Have a request and a response. No, whoa. Now this is actually going to be receiving the request. So it's going to be receiving this thing that we're sending here. To do the wrong function. This is oops. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be receiving this here, and it's going to be basically verifying it, I believe. So we're going to need to. We'll also create like a like receive auth kind of function. But yeah, let's set that up now. So pretty much we're going to be using mirror nodes. That's obviously to make kind of the querying quicker and free, I believe, as well. Going to be fetching, and then we're going to be fetching this thing, and then basically checking it. So using this verify data function again. I've got my own one, but you can also check it out from theirs, from Hedera from Hashconnect. Takes in a couple of these things as arguments. Actually, one thing that I'm also going to do is I'm just gonna console log what comes in this, because I kind of forgotten myself. Comes in here, so console log that. Let's refresh the page. Authenticate. Do that. Boom. Approve. Authenticate. Verified this time because we changed it. Approve. And okay, so what have we got? We've got this. This is coming from it, so nice. Success is true. It's got the user signature. Looks all good. So yeah, now we're just gonna set up the stuff on the server to receive it. So yeah, just a couple of changes I'm gonna make. Just gonna call this variable auth, and then so yeah, we're gonna be obviously sending this as a post request to this post URL post site that we've just set up, this getAuth route. And so yeah, just create this object. So it's got the signing account, just the same string that we use over here, and then the object itself. And yeah, going to be sending that, and then we will eventually be getting a response back from it. So after we send it, and after we say const data equals rec.body, that's the body of the request, and that's automatically getting passed by this json.body parser. And then, so what are the objects that get sent? So we're getting the signing account and auth. We can say we can destructure it, signing account and auth. equals data, and then this is kind of the function that this is our functions, what the arguments that they're going to be receiving. So it's going to be this receive auth function. So yeah, I'm just going to copy it again from this project that I'm working on. This is all my code. It's not been plagiarized, but everyone can plagiarize it if they want. They've totally got my permission. Right, and then what have they got over here? So this is in our Authenticate file. I'm going to have a new function. So this is the receive auth function. Obviously, we're going to need to add that to our exports. Now, yeah, so this takes in the assigning account and the response from the previous thing. Okay, and it takes in the signing account in order to do the URL mirror node query. But I guess we could potentially get it from the result anyway. Could be able to get it from that, I think. What does it say? Topic, sign ID. Maybe, don't know. But okay, so what happens? So, right, so we've got the, yeah, okay, so it just performs a fetch. Have we imported the node fetch module in here? I don't think we have, so we're gonna, yeah, we may need to do that. But essentially, right, I was getting a bit confused. Okay, yeah. So this fetch operation here, this is in relation to the mirror node query, where obviously we're just finding some information, and then so this query just gives you like an object of information, and if it's okay, then whatever we'll run this. Else there's been like an error getting a public key. So yeah, we use it because we can find a public key inside this object. So if it was successful, then we can continue. If it's not successful, then we can't. So the data is then the JSON, like the just basically the past version of that. Then this is talking about the res payload. So this is coming from the sign payload, which we're over here, which we're sending from the client. And actually, I guess there we go. We've got this sign payload object. We've got that sign within that object. So where is it? This authenticate function. Now we just again. So as you saw, it's giving it to us in this buffer values. Yeah, in this like object to array. So we're just doing the same thing, and we're just making them in buffer form, making them in byte form, just because that's all better. And then this is where we're passing it, and we pass it in as a uint8 array, as is done actually in the docs. Over in the docs, but I guess in TypeScript you can just do as uint array, or maybe it's got something to do with the servers. I don't know. But essentially, yeah, with just plain old JavaScript, this is the solution that I found. So you convert it into an array using this neat little object that values, takes all of the values, puts it into an array, and then out of that array you make a buffer. So yeah. Then to verify data, okay, we've got our own verify data function, which I didn't copy over. So let's copy that over. This is just actually using some pretty simple native hashgraph stuff. So let's run through this function. So it takes the data, the public key, and the signature. Obviously, for the public key, we're getting it from for this guy, for us, for the server key, we're just getting it from this variable over here. And so that's just us, yeah, we're just getting that. And then over here, it's the data.key.key. So this is the data we're getting from this query node request. Okay, it's all quite a lot. So then this public key, what is that? Cannot find name public key. That's the have that in my other thing. Yeah, I did. Don't need the account ID. Right. So we get the public key from the string. Yeah, okay. Then we've got the data. So we convert, do that to get the data which we're passing in. The data being the payload. Right, okay. So yeah, the payload is the data that's being passed in, and then we're verifying it by comparing it with the signature. So this is all, again, this is like from the Hashgraph SDK, yeah. So this pub key then has a verify method where you can confirm that the bytes from something is the same as what it's been signed with, and then return this is just true or false. So it's pretty sweet. So then if both of them are true, yeah, if it's true for the user and it's true for the server, then we're just going to return authentication success, else return failed. Then over back to our server.js file. We can pass in those two arguments. Now, is this asynchronous? I don't think this is. Yeah, this one is asynchronous. I'm also going to need to install that, copy that over, because which file did I do it in? Well, whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna, because we're gonna need node fetch for this. What was that? So require of the hell? Right. Let me. Yeah. So I've just remembered that pretty much when we installed node fetch, we installed version 3, and they don't allow ES5 to be used for version 3, but it's quite easy to fix. So I'm just gonna firstly uninstall node fetch fetch, and then I'm going to install version 2, which does allow that. So I'm going to paste in that, and then you just need to say @2 at the end. So we're going to install that. This will mean that we can then use node fetch over here. And this whole thing should actually work. Right, okay, yeah, so I did add a few other things which I'll brush over now. So on the server side of things, yeah, we've got this receive function. Takes in the signing account and auth as arguments, and then it sends the auth message, which obviously over here in the Authenticate we're returning these either two options. Obviously this is either true, this is either true. If they're both true, authentication's been successful. And obviously, yeah, just got that button there, authenticate user. In the actual this file as well, make sure that the endpoint send auth. Sorry, no, get auth. So make sure it's that matching. Well, it doesn't have to be that name. Obviously, just has to match with this post route we've got set up over here. And then what I've done is so obviously I've awaited the response which we get from this, converted done the JSON method on it. That's the auth message, and that's just literally the string which will show whether it's authentication successful or failed. So I think everything's saved. Let's go back to our React app. Just do one little refresh. Pair the wallet. Wallet's been paired. Authenticate. I'm pretty sure that's just because I didn't do npm run. I think that might be it. Yeah, fingers crossed. So we should still be able to authenticate now. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Verified. Approve. Authentication success. Awesome. Good news. Okay. And if we now choose to do and reject it, actually, yeah, this seems like a bit of a bug. Actually, I can never seem to reject it properly. So I'll flag that up with the team. Maybe whatever. Okay. Nonetheless, that is pretty much this video done. So yeah, below I have attached the all of the Hashconnect, Hashpack, their own functions. That's obviously what I base mine off, but they do all those in TypeScript. I'll also link this new repository in as well. So yeah, I'll have it in there so you can reference it as well. But yeah, cheers for checking out the video. Give it a thumbs up, and if you've made it all this way, love actually. Yeah.